Every once in a while, a coin that most people overlook becomes the centerpiece of a collector's dream. A single penny, something many people toss into jars, drop into parking meters, or ignore on the sidewalk, can quietly carry history, rarity, and sometimes even thousands of dollars in value. Today, we're diving deep into two Lincoln pennies that continue to spark excitement among collectors and coin hunters around the world. These coins might look ordinary at first glance, but under closer inspection, they reveal fascinating stories of American history, minting mysteries, and surprising collector demand. If you've ever searched through pocket change or inherited a jar of old coins, this is exactly the kind of information that could change the way you see every penny forever. The 1989 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1989 Lincoln Penny may seem like a very common coin at first. Millions were produced and circulated widely across the United States, and even today many people still encounter them in everyday change. But beneath that ordinary appearance lies a coin with interesting production history, collectible varieties, and a steady place in the Lincoln Cent series that has fascinated collectors for more than a century. To truly understand the 1989 Lincoln Penny, we first need to step back and appreciate the broader history of the Lincoln Cent itself. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln Penny became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of symbolic imagery. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, the coin showed Lincoln's profile on the front and originally featured two wheat ears on the reverse. That wheat penny design remained until 1958, when the reverse was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design that continued through 2008. By 1989, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had already been in use for more than 30 years. The obverse still displayed Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty placed to the left of the portrait and the date positioned to the right. Above Lincoln's head sits the motto, "In God We Trust," while the mint mark, when present, appears beneath the date. The reverse side of the 1989 penny shows the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. At the top of the coin is the inscription United States of America. Directly beneath that appears the motto E Pluribus Unum. At the bottom is the denomination 1 cent. A fascinating detail many collectors enjoy is that if you look closely at the memorial design, the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the building can actually be seen between the columns. The composition of the 1989 Lincoln Penny reflects a major change that occurred earlier in the decade. Prior to 1982, pennies were made primarily from copper. However, rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to switch to a copper-plated zinc composition. By 1989, all circulating pennies were struck using this newer composition consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer coating of copper. This change in composition created coins that weighed about 2.5 grams, significantly lighter than the earlier copper cents that weighed about 3.11 grams. For collectors, understanding this difference is important because weight testing is one way to verify certain varieties and errors across the Lincoln Cent series. In terms of production, the 1989 penny was struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint struck coins with a D mint mark under the date. The San Francisco Mint also produced proof versions specifically for collectors. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 7 billion pennies in 1989, making it one of the most widely produced coins of that era. The Denver Mint added roughly 5 billion additional coins. These massive mintages mean that most standard 1989 pennies remain very common in circulated condition today. Because of that high mintage, ordinary circulated 1989 pennies typically carry only face value. Even in uncirculated condition, they usually trade for just a few cents to perhaps $1, depending on quality. However, as with many coins, the true excitement begins when collectors start searching for varieties and mint errors. One of the most talked about varieties associated with the 1989 penny is the double die error. A double die occurs during the hubbing process when the design is impressed into the coin die more than once at slightly different angles. This results in visible doubling on the finished coins. Certain 1989 double die pennies show noticeable doubling on inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or parts of the date. When these errors are strong enough to be visible without magnification, they become extremely attractive to collectors. Another collectible category involves repunched mint marks. Although most repunched mint marks appear on older coins from earlier decades, some minor examples have been identified within late 20th century Lincoln cents as well. When the mint mark punch shifted slightly between impressions, it left overlapping marks that can sometimes be detected under magnification. Off-center strikes are another fascinating error type found on 1989 pennies. During the striking process, if a coin blank is not properly aligned between the dies, part of the design may be missing. Off-center coins showing 10 to 50% of the design missing can attract strong collector interest depending on how dramatic the misalignment appears. Die cracks and cuds also appear on some 1989 pennies. These occur when the die itself develops fractures or breaks during use. A raised line across the coin may indicate a die crack, while a cut appears as a blob-like raised area where part of the die edge has broken away. Collectors often enjoy tracking down these unusual die states. Another category worth mentioning is broad strike errors. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar fails during the striking process, allowing the metal to spread outward. The result is a coin that appears wider and thinner than normal, often with distorted rims. While most 1989 pennies are common, certain high-grade examples can still command respectable premiums. In the world of coin collecting, condition plays a major role in value. Coins graded on the mint state scale can range from MS60 to MS70, with higher numbers representing better preservation. A typical uncirculated 1989 penny graded around MS63 might sell for just a few dollars. However, extremely well-preserved coins graded MS67 or higher become much scarcer. At that level, collectors may pay tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on demand. Proof versions from the San Francisco Mint also attract collectors. These coins were specially struck using polished dies and planchets to create a mirror-like finish. Proof coins were sold directly to collectors in sets rather than released into circulation. A deep cameo proof 1989 penny with strong contrast between frosted design elements and mirrored fields can command a noticeable premium in top condition. High-grade proof examples sometimes sell for $20 to $100 depending on certification and eye appeal. The real excitement in the 1989 Lincoln penny market comes from dramatic mint errors. Some error coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars when the mistake is large, visually striking, and well-documented. Collectors enjoy searching bank rolls and old coin jars hoping to find one of these unusual pieces. Even though the chances may be small, the possibility of discovering a valuable error coin keeps the thrill alive for many enthusiasts. Ultimately, the 1989 Lincoln penny represents a perfect example of how even modern coins can hold hidden stories and collectible potential. While most examples are common, the combination of varieties, mint errors, and high-grade survivors ensures that this coin still captures the attention of dedicated collectors. The 1970 D. Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1970 D. Lincoln Penny is one of the most fascinating modern coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. At first glance, it appears to be just another ordinary penny from the early 1970s. But for collectors who understand its varieties and minting quirks, this coin holds a special place in numismatic history. The early 1970s were an interesting period for the United States Mint. Coin demand had increased dramatically due to economic growth and population expansion. The Mint was producing billions of coins each year to keep up with circulation needs. During this time, the Denver Mint played a major role in supplying pennies for the western half of the United States. The 1970 D. Lincoln cent was struck exclusively at the Denver facility, indicated by the small D mint mark located beneath the date on the obverse. Like other Lincoln memorial cents of the era, the obverse design features Abraham Lincoln's portrait created by Victor David Brenner. The design had already been in use for more than 60 years by 1970, making it one of the longest-running coin portraits in American history. The reverse side shows the Lincoln Memorial Building, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The detailed structure stands proudly in the center of the coin, framed by the inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent. Unlike the later zinc cents, the 1970 D penny was still made primarily of copper. Its composition consists of 95% copper with the remaining 5% made up of zinc and tin. This gave the coin a slightly heavier weight of about 3.11 grams and a rich reddish color when freshly minted. The Denver Mint produced more than 2.8 billion Lincoln pennies in 1970. With such a high mintage, most standard examples remain common today, especially in circulated condition. However, the real story of the 1970 D penny lies in one of its most famous varieties, known as the small date and large date distinction. Although this variety is more famous on the Philadelphia issue of 1970, collectors also pay close attention to Denver coins when searching for subtle differences in the date. The shape and spacing of the digits in the year can vary slightly depending on which master die was used. These variations occurred because different working dies were prepared during production, sometimes resulting in noticeable differences in lettering or numbers. Collectors carefully study the size and alignment of the numbers in the date to identify these varieties. Even small differences can dramatically change a coin's value in the collector market. In addition to date varieties, the 1970 D penny is also known for double die errors. Some examples show clear doubling on letters or numbers, especially in areas like Liberty or I in God We Trust. When the doubling is strong and visible, these coins can become highly collectible. Depending on condition and the strength of the error, prices can range from tens of dollars to several $100s. Another fascinating error sometimes found on 1970 D pennies is the die clash. A die clash occurs when the coin press cycles without a planchet between the dies. When this happens, the dies strike each other and transfer parts of their designs onto one another. Later coins struck with those damaged dies may show faint outlines of the opposite side's design. For example, elements of the memorial building might appear faintly on the obverse, or parts of Lincoln's portrait might appear on the reverse. Clash dies add an additional layer of intrigue for collectors who enjoy studying minting processes and mechanical errors. Off-center strikes also appear on some 1970 D pennies. These coins were not properly aligned during striking, leaving part of the design missing. Dramatic off-center examples that still display the full date can bring strong premiums. Other mint errors include clipped planchets, where a piece of the metal blank was missing before striking, and lamination errors, where layers of metal separate due to flaws in the metal strip used to create planchets. When collectors evaluate a 1970 D penny, condition remains one of the most important factors affecting value. Circulated coins usually trade for only a few cents above face value. However, uncirculated coins with bright original luster are much more desirable. Coins graded MS65 or better begin attracting significant attention from collectors building high-quality Lincoln cent sets. At the very top end of the grading scale, near-perfect examples graded MS67 can sell for several $100s. One particularly famous sale involved an exceptionally well-preserved 1970 D penny graded MS67 that sold at auction for well over $1,000. Such prices demonstrate how condition rarity can elevate even common coins into valuable collectibles. Collector interest in the 1970 D Lincoln cent continues to remain strong. Many enthusiasts enjoy searching through rolls of older pennies hoping to find a high-grade example or a rare mint error hiding in plain sight. This coin represents a fascinating blend of everyday circulation history and specialized numismatic study. It reminds collectors that even coins produced in the billions can still contain rare varieties and surprising value. For anyone passionate about coin collecting, the 1970 D Lincoln penny stands as proof that careful observation and knowledge can transform an ordinary cent into an exciting discovery. Hidden among jars of old change or tucked away in forgotten drawers, these small copper coins continue to capture the imagination of collectors everywhere.